Hi, Ron. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about why you're running for the board?
Well, thank you. Good morning, Bridgewater residents. My name is Ronald Britt, and my wife and I have lived in Bridgewater for 8 years. I've spent 47 years at Oakwood Hospital and Medical Center as the financial administrator. In this role, I was responsible for the financial integrity, financial integrity of the hospital, the grounds, clinical engineering, their housekeeping department, their security, their police department, and most of the other contract services at the hospital. I prepared income statements on a monthly basis for the board, and I submitted those to our upper CEOs and COOs for final review. I currently serve as a financial lead for our church. So I do a lot of this stuff at our church, and I serve as vice chairman of the board for a local credit union. So I stay pretty involved in the community. I can continue to work after my retirement. I consult for healthcare, and I interact with CEOs and their boards. So I'm active in working with boards and their members and on a monthly and daily basis. I believe with my experience that I just mentioned that I'll be able to assist the HOA in growing and staying financially strong for our community.
Okay. You've kind of answered the first question, which was what experiences do you have working as a committee member or working with a group to problem solve and create positive solutions? I know you're a member of the finance committee. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, again, without repeating myself again, I've served or chaired on committees at the hospital, many, hundreds actually. I am currently on the finance team, as well as a member of Helping Hands and in the Neighborhood Awareness Committee at Bridgewater. You may not even be familiar with those committees. I've sat on the finance committee for about 6 years, so I've been very involved in that. When I first joined the finance committee, we didn't have a budget process in the format that the group was used to. It basically was an AMA format that we couldn't transfer over and do much work ourselves. So as a result of that, I went back and I prepared budgets in an Excel format and reloaded all the data, and we were able to now, if you've worked with Excel, to be able to work with that in the committee, make changes, reprints. It was much easier for us to work during the committee process. And then we've been using that for the last 4 or 5 years. So basically the finance team prepares the budgets, and then we prepare those for you to look at, our manager, and then it goes to the board for preparation. So it basically starts with us on that particular format that I set up. A Neighborhood Awareness Committee saw a need to educate the residents in life-saving measures on the committee I was on. So I was instrumental in doing a presentation in 2016, and we presented CPR training, AED, which we probably should do again. We have them on the wall, and I'm not quite sure our residents understand how to use those. And the Heimlich maneuver, which we should all know for our family, our children, to utilize those. I've actually used it 4 times now when I've been at dinners. I did another presentation on understanding the use of fire extinguishers. Amazing, the number of people, we had about 80 people attend, didn't know to pull the pin on the fire extinguisher. So that was what our group did to try to assist. Only about 80 people turned out. So we need more of those educational needs in the community. I've chaired many committees at my last employer, Oakwood Hospital, and I was challenged to cut costs, like many of us are. This was always accomplished, by creating positive changes to hit the bottom line, still operating on a daily basis.
Okay. What qualities do you believe a neighborhood representative should embody and bring to the board in order to create and promote a harmonious community relationship?
Well, I believe the representative should certainly come to the table with a positive attitude and not bring any personal baggage, things that they feel they want to get done in the community. I think the goal of the representative is to administer the affairs of the association and maintain the overall operating structure and the financial integrity of the HOA. So we should, this can be accomplished by open, honest communication at all times, establishing goals and objectives, and working with our AMA management staff to get these things done.
Okay. What do you think what do you consider the greatest challenge for your individual community at this time? And what would you like to do to resolve the challenge?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is still our conversion from Pulte board to a board member operations, where we have a resident boards operating instead of Pulte. I believe we've done a decent job, but I still think we still have some work to do. I think the challenges still are both operational and financial. You being new, you can see some of the struggles we still have. I know by being on the finance team, we're very secure financially. And our reserves are really where they need to be, better than most HOAs. And what I'd like to do, I think, is just work very close with you, our AMA manager. You're new, so we'll have some work to do. And open lines of communication. I think that's important with our 620, probably double that, residents to continue staying financially strong. And I believe really developing, like you sent the email, in the future, 2 to 5 year plan. We really need to know for 5 years what we're going to look like, but every year we need to have a plan in how we're going to make that work every year within our budget that we have.
Okay. Under what circumstances do you believe a special assessment to the community would be necessary?
Well, first of all, I believe that a special assessment is the last thing that I would want to do for this community. And the reason the finance team is so set on getting our reserves to where we want to be is so we don't have to do special assessments. Most of the reserve that we've seen, the 30-year plan, really takes in consideration most of the capital asset work that would have to be done. Replacement, new items, and so forth. So, that would be really the last thing I would want to do. Now, however, having said that, I realize that there could be emergency situations come up. So, for example, your roads are a big item. To the extent we have road repair, they could cave in. The pool could cave in. So, to the extent that the community would like to get those things fixed, it's very possible we'd have to have a special assessment. And if we did, we would go out to our residents and get a 2/3 vote to see really what they want to do and understand that special assessments means, special assessment. There's other creative financial ways we could pay for it, but more than likely your dues would go up, or you'd have a special every month assessment to pay for those items. So I would really rather, part of this 5-year plan, I'd really rather kind of look ahead for some of these things, non-emergent, because there would be things, I've seen such things as, let's add a roof over the top here. I don't want to necessarily dig into our assets or our reserves. I'd really like to plan for that. If we want to do that as a community, we should plan for it and budget for it and work through the capital budget as a new funding item and run it back through the operating income for the year. I mean, it still may be a capital expenditure, but we'd plan for it on a cash basis to pay for those things. So I'm not against it totally, but I'm not definitely going into this as a board member that I want to have special assessments and get all this stuff done in the first year. For my watch, that won't happen.
Okay. What are 3 physical improvements that you'd like to see at Bridgewater? And what will you do to help see them accomplished?
Okay, everyone's got eyes and ears. We walk around and we talk a lot. But, I'm a list guy. I like to make lists and get things done. First thing I would really do is I'd walk around the community and the lodge, and I'd look at any kind of improvements we need. I'd do this in conjunction with our board and you, and see the things that we should attend to before we do anything major. So, for example, I'd work with you, our manager, and the board, and I'd like to take maybe quarterly walks around the community. I think the board should get involved with that with you and create a list of things we want to accomplish, because we just can't do it all. We don't have the money to do it all, but we should plan for doing the things that need to keep this community looking good, the lifestyle that everyone has bought into here. So a list of things probably that I see that I like to touch on, and they may be in the works, but I'd like to take another look at the signage. I'd like to have a review on the signage in the community. I'd like to make sure we have a refresh on the paint. Let's get our lodge back in order here. I'd like to assure that our facilities in the lodge have working hot water in all of our bathrooms. I think that's extremely important. I understand it's possible we may be lacking that. We need to take a look at it. So I'd like to work with the manager to see what we could do with storage. I hear a lot about storage, so we need to get that resolved for you and your staff, so that we don't have to fight on where we're going to store stuff at our homes and whatever. We got to work that out. Other items to be fixed or improved is, I've noticed the wiring laying out here. We got to get that wiring fixed before winter comes here. It's going to happen. The overhead projector seems to be always down. We need to, and I will support you 100% in getting those things done. Whatever it takes, we need to get it done. And then I think we need to take another look. I've been hearing a lot about the crack in the tennis court. I believe you're looking at that. But we need to push that. We need to get it done. And there's a few other people that have come forward, that there's some things that they want to do. We'll just take a look at that in our plan. If it's not urgent or emergent, it's just not going to happen until we plan for it. It's not saying that we won't do those things, but we need to plan for it. I mean, I think part of this is growing this community and as we do that, keeping it financially strong. There's nothing worse than a community, an HOA, that can't afford to pay to have things done, or even keep their daily operation going. So, I have experience in that. I'll see, and I do in the finance team right now. We make sure this community is budgeted appropriately, and we watch the expense with the manager to make sure that we continue to be financially viable. So I think, second, that was kind of a first. I threw a lot into that. But I want to take another look at the benches out here, looking to replace them or fix them, whatever. I want to meet with the grounds and amenity committee, because I know it kind of started there. And I want to move this project forward. It shouldn't sit. I just hear rumblings of this all the time. We need to move this forward. Third, I'd like to see the sidewalks, the lamp poles that were designated for this year to be completed. I think some of this we could have caught if we were walking around the community before these guys left. And if we only budgeted a certain amount and there was more, we'd have had them stay and we'd have had them finish it. But in any case, I want to work with you, Tracy, AMA manager, and make sure we have a plan each year for the things we want to do, not counting any urgent, emergent things that we have to do. Each year, the board should have a list with you that we agree to, that those are the things we want to accomplish for that year as part of our 5-year plan. So those are the kind of things that I like to do as a board member.
Okay, any final words?
No, I think I look forward to being a board member. I sit on the finance team. I'm very active, working. I am not a setback guy. I will definitely work with the staff here, namely you, our manager, and to keep things moving forward. We have to work together, actually have goals and objectives on paper, and check those off and get them done. So,
Fantastic. Thank you.
thank you.